ever has. So I fell in love with this man. I couldn't get enough of this man, and I realized very early on that I better not screw this up, because here I am standing in the center of all things Lincoln, and the last thing I want to do is make the guy on the penny and Mount Rushmore and the $5 bill look bad. So anyway, I was very sensitive about, when I started the book, I was very sensitive about, okay, look, Seth, I said to myself, this is how I talk to myself. I said, look, Seth, you better do your homework. You better not make this guy look bad. You better get things right, or you're going to be in a world of hurt. So that's what I tried to do. I tried, as ridiculous as the idea of Abraham Lincoln fighting vampires is, I tried to get as much real history in the book as possible. I tried to stay true to the real character of, or the way I interpret the real character of this great man. I tried to stay true to his ideals, and I also tried to make him really cool and kill vampires. I was blown away by how many opportunities there were in Lincoln's real life. And this sounds kind of stupid saying it. I just realized it's going to sound really stupid. I was kind of blown away by how many opportunities there were to add vampires to Lincoln's life. Well, I mean, we already covered all the tragedies. Let's think about it. Guy's 6'4", way bigger than anybody back then. Well, most people, with the exception of like Jack Armstrong and some of his, other vampire hunting friends. He's this big, thin, gothic, muscular figure. He's dark, he's brooding, he's exceptionally strong, and he knows his way around handling an axe. I mean, what else do you need? This guy's practically already Van Helsing in my book. So, from that point on, it was just a matter of adhering to the real life story, trying not to mess up the character traits and make Lincoln look bad, and trying to weave this fiction into those moments that we're all so familiar with, whether they be the Gettysburg Address, whether they be the loss of Abe's mother, whether they be his first journey down the Mississippi to New Orleans, where he sees slavery at its worst for the first time and is deeply affected by that. I wanted all of that real history in the book. I wanted all those familiar touchstone Lincoln moments, many of which are on display here. I wanted them all. Ooh, there's John Wilkes Booth looking at me. That maybe they could have taken that down for the. I'm going to keep looking. Listen, we're technically in a theater tonight. So if that guy twitches, somebody give me a high sign. I didn't. I wanted all those touchstone Lincoln moments in the book, but I wanted sort of a fun, different way into them, and that's really what the book is. So some people. This was, I wrote a book called Pride and Prejudice and Zombies last year. You fell for it. You applauded. You fell for it. That was me trying to get some free applause. I experienced the same thing when that book came out. There are some Jane Austen purists in the world who just by the fact that I did anything to Pride and Prejudice, wanted to burn me at the stake. That's fine. We need those defenders of the faith. We need the purists. But I think it made me a little more sensitive this time around to, as I said, getting it right. I mean, again, this is a little more serious than Jane Austen. No offense to the Jane Austen fans, but, greatest living American. Anyway. If I say anything else on this subject, I'll probably put my foot in my mouth. Help me, John Wilkes Booth. Have questions made their way over yet? Not yet? Some have? Okay, people are still writing. Okay, I'm told people are still writing. All right. Well, so let's have another reading. Now, hello. Now, I want to thank the internet, by the way. Without the internet, this book would not be possible, because as much as I would have liked to actually travel to every single place that I wrote about in this book, in the time I had to write it, it would have been impossible. So, I'm going to read you a passage that takes place right here, actually, right outside these doors, and with the help of some period maps, I was able to piece a picture of Springfield in the 1830s together. So, this is Jack Armstrong and Abe following a vampire out of a bar in Springfield. I know, it sounds funny. I know, it sounds funny to me too. Anyway, Jack and Abe following a vampire. He walked down 6th Street toward Adams. Yeah. We followed discreetly, Jack a good 3 paces behind, the axe ready in my hands. I darted into the shadows, and with every twitch of the barkeep's head, certain he meant to turn back and deliver us. Oh. I'll start again. He walked down 6th Street toward Adams. We followed discreetly, Jack a good 3 paces behind, the axe ready in my hands. I darted into the shadows with every twitch of the barkeep's head, certain he meant to turn back and discover us. Jack could hardly contain his laughter at the sight of my doing so. The little man kept to the center of the street, hands in his pockets, whistling, walking as any other man would walk, and making me feel a fool with every step. He rounded 7th Street, and we followed. He rounded Monroe, and we followed. But on rounding 9th Street, after letting him escape our sight for the briefest of moments, we saw no trace of him. There was no alley he could have slipped into, no house he could have entered in so short a time. How could it be? So, you're the one. The voice came from behind us. I spun around, preparing to strike, not, for here was mighty Jack Armstrong standing on his toes, his back arched, his eyes wide, and here was the little vampire standing behind him, a sharp claw pressed to his throat. Had Jack been able to see those black eyes and shining fangs, his terror would have been twofold. The barkeep suggested I lay my axe on the ground if I did not wish to see my friend's blood spilled. I thought his suggestion a good one and let the weapon fall from my hand. So, again, thank you, Google Maps, because I didn't get the opportunity to visit Springfield while I was writing this book. I can't tell you what an incredible day it's been just getting to see the city that I've sort of visited many times in my mind, and then being here at the library today and seeing the artifacts that I've written about and dreamt about for the last year. It's really been extraordinary. No questions yet? See, this is what happens, is I hate to monologue, as you can tell. I start to trip myself up, but when people ask questions, I have, so much fun because it becomes an interactive experience. I'll tell you what, we're only going to do this one time because otherwise we're going to have anarchy. If someone wants to yell out a question, just so we can get started, let her rip. What passion of mine does this express, this book? A passion for... What's that? I'm sorry. The question is,